Hollywood is built on secrets, but some stars took theirs straight to the grave. From hidden lovers and double lives to mysterious deaths that still make people scream, cover up, these celebrities left behind scandals crazier than a Netflix thriller. And honestly, some of these stories are so wild, even TMZ would say, okay, that's a lot. Number 1, George Michael, the secret saint of pop music. For most of his career, George Michael was treated by the media like Hollywood's favorite troublemaker. The tabloids obsessed over his scandals, his arrests, his relationships. Basically, if George sneezed in public somewhere, a reporter was already writing a headline in all caps. But after his death in 2016, the world discovered something shocking. Behind the wild headlines was possibly one of the kindest celebrities in the entertainment industry. And the craziest part, almost nobody knew while he was alive. After George passed away, story after story began surfacing about his secret generosity. People revealed that he had quietly donated enormous amounts of money to charities, cancer patients, HIV organizations, and struggling families, all without asking for publicity. No cameras, no press conferences, no dramatic celebrity Instagram captions with fake crying emojis. One woman revealed that George once overheard her talking on a TV game show about needing money for IVF treatment. Days later, she reportedly received thousands of dollars anonymously to help start her family. Another story claimed George volunteered at homeless shelters in secret, blending in, so nobody would recognize him. Imagine casually serving soup next to one of the biggest pop stars on earth and not realizing it. That's insane. One of his biggest causes was supporting HIV and AIDS charities, including the Terrence Higgins Trust. And considering how cruelly the media often treated him during his lifetime, his compassion hits even harder. Number 2, Prince, the death that still doesn't make sense. When Prince died in 2016, it felt less like losing a musician and more like losing an entire planet. Prince wasn't just a singer, he was a one-man fashion experiment, a musical genius, and somehow the only human alive capable of making purple look intimidating. But behind the legendary performances and mysterious personality was a death that still leaves fans asking one giant question: what really happened? Prince was found unresponsive inside an elevator at his Paisley Park estate, and almost immediately, confusion exploded everywhere. Authorities later revealed that he had dangerous substances in his system, leading many to believe it was an accidental overdose. Case closed. Except not really. Because according to people closest to Prince, none of it added up. Friends insisted he wasn't someone known for abusing substances, and fans quickly started spiraling into conspiracy mode faster than Reddit users after a celebrity breakup. Questions started piling up. Who gave him the pills? Did he know what he was taking? Was someone around him responsible? Somehow, years later, nobody seems to have clear answers. And honestly, that mystery only adds to Prince's already larger-than-life image. This was a man who guarded his privacy like it was classified government information. He rarely explained himself, rarely gave the media exactly what they wanted, and lived almost entirely on his own terms. Number 3, David Cassidy, the lie that fooled Hollywood. For years, David Cassidy was America's golden boy. Teen girls screamed his name, magazines couldn't print his face fast enough. And honestly, if TikTok existed back then, this man would have broken the internet every single day. But behind the smile and celebrity charm, David was hiding a devastating truth that nobody saw coming. Near the end of his life, David publicly revealed that he was suffering from dementia. Fans were heartbroken, and many believed the former teen idol was slowly fading away because of the disease. So when news broke that he had died in 2017, most people sadly assumed dementia had finally taken him. But then came the plot twist Hollywood never expected. A documentary released after his death exposed the truth: David Cassidy never actually had dementia at all. The real battle happening behind closed doors was alcoholism. In one of the final interviews before his passing, David admitted, "I lied about my drinking." And suddenly, the entire story changed overnight. What makes this even more tragic is how desperately he tried to protect his image. In Hollywood, aging is already treated like a crime scene. Add addiction to the mix, and celebrities start hiding their struggles like they're hiding bodies in a mafia movie. Producers of the documentary later admitted they struggled with whether to reveal the truth, but ultimately believed honesty would better preserve David's legacy. And maybe that's the saddest part. One of television's biggest stars spent his final years trying to convince the world he was losing his memory, when in reality he was losing himself. Number 4. Gene Wilder, the heartbreaking secret behind Willy Wonka's smile. When people think of Gene Wilder, they usually picture the magical, slightly chaotic genius from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. You know, the guy who could smile warmly one second and look like he was planning psychological warfare with chocolate the next. But while the world remembered him as one of Hollywood's most lovable oddballs, Gene was secretly fighting a battle no one knew about. For more than 3 years before his death, Gene Wilder had been living with Alzheimer's disease. And somehow, almost nobody outside his inner circle knew. In today's celebrity world, where stars can't even sneeze without TMZ, posting a breaking news alert, keeping something that huge private feels almost impossible. But Gene had a very personal reason for staying silent. According to his family, he didn't want children recognizing him as the sick actor with Alzheimer's. He wanted them to keep seeing Willy Wonka, the magical candy maker who made the world feel strange, funny, and exciting. Honestly, that might be one of the purest things anyone in Hollywood has ever done. His family later released a heartbreaking statement, explaining that Gene could not bear the idea of one less smile in the world. And suddenly, his silence didn't feel secretive anymore. It felt protective. That's what makes this story hit differently. In an industry obsessed with attention, Gene Wilder chose privacy. While modern celebrities turn breakfast into Instagram content, Gene quietly protected his fans from pain until the very end. Number 5. Sally Ride, the secret America never saw coming. When Sally Ride blasted into space in 1983, she instantly became an American icon. She was brilliant, fearless, and officially the first American woman to travel into space. Basically, Sally was doing girl boss history-making stuff decades before social media invented the phrase. While everyone else was struggling to parallel park, Sally was literally leaving Earth. NASA loved her image. America adored her. Young girls looked at her and thought, wait, I can become an astronaut too. But behind the historic headlines and picture-perfect legacy was a deeply personal secret she kept hidden for almost her entire life. For years, Sally lived very privately. She rarely discussed her personal relationships publicly, and the media mostly focused on her achievements instead of her private life. But after her death in 2012, one small detail in her obituary completely shocked the public. The obituary revealed that Sally had been in a relationship with a woman named Tam O'Shaughnessy for 27 years. 27 years. And almost nobody knew. Suddenly, Sally Ride wasn't just remembered as the first American woman in space, she also became the first known LGBTQ astronaut in US history. And honestly, the reveal felt less like a scandal and more like America realizing it never truly knew one of its greatest heroes. What makes this story so fascinating is how carefully she separated her public image from her personal truth. In today's world, celebrities announce relationships with matching Instagram posts and coordinated vacation photos. Sally. She quietly made history, changed science forever, and kept one of the biggest parts of her life completely private. Number 6. Anthony Perkins, the secret psycho star hid from the world. For millions of movie fans, Anthony Perkins will forever be remembered as Norman Bates, in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, the creepy motel owner, who made an entire generation afraid to take showers in peace. Seriously, this man traumatized bathrooms forever. But while audiences saw him as one of Hollywood's most unforgettable actors, Anthony was secretly fighting a devastating battle completely alone. In 1992, news suddenly broke that Perkins had died at age 60. Fans were shocked, but what they didn't know was that the actor had been privately battling AIDS for nearly 2 years before his death. At the time, fear and stigma surrounding the disease were brutal, especially in Hollywood, where careers could collapse overnight from rumors alone. According to his wife, Anthony went to hospitals under fake names just to avoid public attention. Think about how heartbreaking that is, one of the most recognizable actors in America literally hiding his identity while receiving treatment. Before his death, Perkins prepared a final statement explaining why he kept his illness secret. In it, he calmly admitted he chose privacy because he didn't believe his personal suffering was more important than the chaos already happening in the world. And somehow, that quiet honesty made the story even more emotional. Number 7. Billy Tipton. Back in the 1940s and 50s, Billy Tipton was making serious noise in the American jazz scene. Smooth performances, stylish suits, confidence on stage. Billy had the whole cool jazz musician package locked down. Honestly, if there had been Instagram back then, Billy probably would have been posting black and white coffee shop photos with captions like, "Feeling mysterious tonight." But behind the music and carefully crafted image was a secret so shocking that when it was finally revealed, it stunned absolutely everyone, including Billy's own family. For decades, Billy lived publicly as a man. He built a career, got married 5 different times, adopted children, and was known by friends as a devoted family man. Nobody suspected anything unusual. Not friends, not neighbors, not even the people closest to him. Then, in 1989, everything changed. Billy suddenly collapsed, and when paramedics attempted to save his life, they made a discovery nobody saw coming. Billy was biologically female. The revelation exploded into headlines overnight. Family members were reportedly in complete disbelief, and the public became obsessed with understanding how someone could keep such an enormous secret for an entire lifetime. But the deeper you look into Billy's story, the sadder it becomes. At the time Billy began performing, the jazz industry was overwhelmingly male-dominated. Opportunities for women were limited, and many believe Billy adopted a male identity simply to survive in a world that wouldn't have accepted otherwise. Number 8. Amy Winehouse. Amy Winehouse always looked like someone caught between chaos and genius. One minute she was delivering Grammy-winning performances with that unforgettable voice, and the next she was stumbling through paparazzi flashes while tabloids practically treated her breakdowns like live sports coverage. Seriously, the media followed Amy so aggressively, they probably knew what cereal she ate before she did. But years after her tragic death, a documentary revealed a deeply personal secret Amy reportedly struggled with behind closed doors. Despite her very public relationships with men, including her turbulent marriage to Blake Fielder, several people close to Amy later revealed that she also had romantic feelings toward women. In the documentary Reclaiming Amy, her close friend Catriona Gorley opened up about a private relationship the two allegedly shared. According to Catriona, Amy would leave emotional handwritten notes saying things like, "You're the most beautiful girl I've ever seen." And suddenly, fans began realizing there was an entire emotional side to Amy the public never truly understood. What makes this story especially sad is that Amy reportedly felt confused about her own identity. Friends claimed she struggled to define what these feelings meant and never fully opened up publicly about it. And honestly, considering how brutally the media already dissected every part of her life, it's not hard to understand why she kept certain things private. Number 9. The Notorious B.I.G. The death of the notorious B.I.G. feels less like a solved crime and more like a movie Hollywood forgot to finish. Biggie wasn't just a rapper, he was the voice of New York hip-hop, a lyrical genius with enough charisma to make standing in a tracksuit look legendary. But in 1997, Biggie's story came to a brutal and mysterious end. After leaving a music industry party in Los Angeles, Biggie's SUV stopped at a red light. Seconds later, another car pulled up beside him and opened fire. Just like that, one of the biggest stars in music history was gone at only 24 years old. And here's where things get messy. Despite the happening in public, despite witnesses, despite years of investigations, nobody was ever officially convicted, which immediately sent conspiracy theories into overdrive. Fans began connecting dots between Biggie's death gang rivalries, corrupt police officers, and music industry drama. Honestly, the entire thing became so complicated, it felt like a Netflix crime series with 6 seasons and no ending. Years later, retired FBI agents even claimed there was evidence pointing toward specific suspects and possible cover-ups. According to some investigators, the truth may have been hidden intentionally. But without hard proof, the mystery survives. Number 10. Ludwig van Beethoven, the love letter nobody could explain. You'd think after centuries of historians studying Ludwig van Beethoven, we'd know everything about the man by now. I mean, this is Beethoven, one of the greatest composers in human history. The guy basically turned emotional breakdowns into symphonies. But somehow one of his biggest secrets still remains unsolved almost 200 years later. After Beethoven died in 1827, investigators discovered a mysterious handwritten letter among his belongings. The letter was passionate, emotional, deeply romantic, and addressed to someone he called only "my immortal beloved." Sounds dramatic already, right? Like Beethoven accidentally wrote the world's first viral breakup text. The problem is he never revealed who the woman actually was. Historians immediately went into detective mode trying to solve the mystery. Some believe the letter was written to Antoni Brentano, a married woman close to Beethoven. Others argued it must have been Countess Josephine von Brunswick, a woman he reportedly loved for years, but could never openly be with because of social class differences. And honestly, that only makes the story even sadder. Here's Beethoven, one of the most emotionally expressive artists ever, pouring his heart into a love letter so intense it survived centuries, yet nobody knows who inspired it. Imagine being so secretive that historians are still arguing about your situationship 200 years later. Number 11. Gary Francis Post. The man some believe was the Zodiac. For decades, the Zodiac killer terrified America while completely avoiding capture. Cryptic letters coded messages random. The case became so infamous, it practically created its own horror genre. And despite endless investigations, documentaries, and internet detectives who definitely think they're smarter than the FBI, The killer's identity remained one of America's biggest mysteries. Then came the name Gary Francis Post. Years after his death, investigators from an independent cold case group claimed Post was the infamous Zodiac killer. According to them, hidden clues in the Zodiac's letters and physical evidence allegedly pointed directly toward him. Suddenly, the internet exploded. People started analyzing old photos, military records, facial scars, basically turning into full-time conspiracy theorists overnight. But here's the problem: law enforcement never officially confirmed the claim, which means the mystery is still technically unsolved. And honestly, that's the most frustrating part. If Post really was the Zodiac killer, then he died carrying countless horrifying secrets with him. Why did he do it? How many crimes was he actually responsible for? And perhaps most chilling of all, what did those unsolved Zodiac ciphers truly mean? Number 12. Brittany Murphy, the death that Hollywood still whispers about. When Brittany Murphy suddenly died in 2009, Hollywood practically froze in shock. Brittany wasn't just talented, she had that rare energy where she could be hilarious, sweet, chaotic, and completely unforgettable all at once. One minute she was stealing scenes in Clueless, the next she was starring in psychological thrillers that made audiences question everybody around them. Honestly, Brittany had the kind of face that looked adorable and suspicious at the same time, which made this whole mystery even stranger. According to the coroner, Brittany died from pneumonia combined with anemia and prescription medications. Tragic, but straightforward. Except the internet immediately said, "Yeah, we're not buying that." And then things got way weirder. Just 5 months later, Brittany's husband, Simon Monjack, also died in the exact same house from eerily similar causes. At that point, conspiracy theories exploded faster than celebrity marriages in Las Vegas. Toxic, mold, poisoning, secret substances, Hollywood curse. People started throwing out theories like contestants on a game show. Brittany's own father became convinced something sinister had happened and demanded additional investigations. But despite all the speculation, no evidence ever officially proved foul play. Number 13, Corey Haim, the child star who took Hollywood's darkest secret to the grave. Behind Hollywood's red carpets and million-dollar smiles, there's always been a darker side people rarely want to talk about. And according to Corey Haim, he experienced that darkness firsthand. Back in the 1980s, Corey Haim was one of the biggest teen stars in America. Alongside his best friend Corey Feldman, he became part of the Two Coreys, basically the ultimate teen idol duo, before boy bands learned how to synchronize dance moves. Fans adored him, studios loved him, and his future looked unstoppable. But behind the fame, Corey was carrying a terrifying secret. Over the years, both Corey Haim and Corey Feldman hinted at abuse happening behind closed doors in Hollywood. Feldman became very vocal about the exploitation child actors faced, but Haim reportedly stayed terrified of revealing the identity of the person who harmed him. According to Feldman, Haim feared retaliation and believed exposing the truth could put them in danger. Think about how horrifying that is, a celebrity surrounded by cameras, fans, and fame, yet still too afraid to say one person's name out loud. After Haim's death in 2010, speculation exploded about who the alleged abuser could have been. Feldman continued speaking publicly, promising that one day the full story would come out. But even now, the identity remains unclear, buried beneath decades of rumors, fear, and Hollywood silence. Number 14, Whitney Houston, the painful secret Whitney never told the world. For years, Whitney Houston looked untouchable. One of the greatest voices in music history, endless hit songs sold out arenas. Whitney didn't just sing songs, she attacked microphones like they personally offended her. But behind the legendary voice and glamorous image was a deeply painful secret she reportedly carried for most of her life. After Whitney's tragic death in 2012, documentaries and interviews began uncovering details about trauma she had never publicly discussed. According to people close to her, Whitney privately revealed that she had experienced abuse when she was younger. And the most shocking part, she allegedly told confidants, the abuse came from a woman, not a man. One former assistant later described a heartbreaking conversation where Whitney became emotional while opening up about her childhood. Suddenly, a lot of fans started looking back at Whitney's life differently. The addiction struggles, emotional pain, complicated relationships. People began wondering how much of it traced back to wounds she never truly healed from. And honestly, it adds a tragic layer to someone the world already viewed as deeply misunderstood. Because while tabloids spent years obsessing over Whitney's personal chaos, almost nobody stopped to ask what might have caused that pain in the first place. Hollywood loves watching celebrities fall apart, but it rarely cares about who broke them. What makes this story especially haunting is that Whitney never fully told the public herself. The truth only slowly emerged after her death, pieced together through documentaries and emotional interviews from those closest to her. Number 15, Bob Saget, the sudden death that left everyone confused. When Bob Saget died in 2022, the reaction was immediate shock. To most people, Bob was America's lovable TV dad from Full House, warm, goofy, harmless. Meanwhile, his actual stand-up comedy was so wildly inappropriate, it felt like two completely different people were sharing the same body. Seriously watching Bob Saget go from wholesome sitcom father to unhinged comedian was like seeing Mr. Rogers suddenly start roasting people at a nightclub. But his death quickly became surrounded by confusion and unanswered questions. Bob was found unresponsive in a hotel room in Orlando after performing a comedy show the night before. At first, authorities suggested there was no foul play and believed he may have died from natural causes like a heart attack or stroke. Then the autopsy report changed everything. Medical examiners later revealed Bob had suffered severe blunt force trauma to the head. Experts compared the injuries to what someone might experience in a major fall, or even being struck with something heavy. Suddenly, the internet transformed into a true crime convention overnight. The official explanation suggested Bob may have accidentally hit his head, gone to sleep, and never woken up. But many people struggled to understand how someone could suffer such serious injuries without seeking medical attention. Naturally, conspiracy theories exploded everywhere because apparently the internet physically cannot allow a celebrity mystery to remain simple for more than 6 minutes. To make things even stranger, Bob's family later fought to keep certain investigative records private, which only fueled more speculation online. Number 16, Chadwick Boseman, the superhero battle nobody knew about. When Chadwick Boseman died in 2020, the internet didn't just react, it completely broke down. Fans couldn't believe it. One minute he was playing Black Panther, inspiring millions around the world, and the next came the devastating announcement Chadwick had secretly been battling colon cancer for 4 years. 4 years. And somehow almost nobody knew. That's what made the revelation so shocking. During those years, Chadwick filmed massive Hollywood movies, attended premieres, visited sick children, and gave powerful performances while privately undergoing surgeries and chemotherapy. Meanwhile, social media users were criticizing his appearance online because he looked thinner in photos. Imagine fighting cancer while random strangers on Twitter act like medical experts. The internet truly never rests. But Chadwick never publicly complained, never asked for sympathy, never turned his illness into headlines. Instead, he kept working. And that's what transformed his story from tragic to almost unbelievable. While audiences saw a superhero on screen, Chadwick was quietly fighting a real-life battle behind the scenes every single day. Friends later revealed that many people around him didn't even realize how serious his condition truly was. Looking back, some of his interviews hit differently now. The emotion, the exhaustion, the quiet intensity, it all feels heavier knowing what he was carrying in silence. In an industry obsessed with attention, Chadwick Boseman chose dignity. No dramatic media tour, no public pity campaign, just resilience.